in the deep dark lair of Mega Silver.
Well, that was a 10.
I wanted to play MK8 Deluxe, but someone took my copy of the game and replaced it with MK11.
Now, I finally have it. A copy of Mario Kart 8. Yes. I wonder how it tastes.
Well, since we just, talked about Super Mario Kart, play Mario Kart 64?
Well, sure, I guess it's better than nothing. Wow, that was actually pretty good, wouldn't you say, Retro? Oh boy. So Super Mario Kart was a success. So they made another one.
The Nintendo 64, one of the most beloved systems of all time. Even though it had a questionable looking controller and used cartridges leading to third-party developers dropping support for the system in favor of the much more successful Sony PlayStation, we all still love this little guy. It had some of the best exclusive games that are still looked back fondly to this day, even if most of them admittedly haven't aged that well.
The Nintendo 64 launched with Super Mario 64 and Pilot Wing 64. Also, Japan got an extra launch title called Sayako Habu Shogi. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Now, Nintendo was planning to have a new Mario Kart game out for the system's launch, but the development for the game had some small hiccups. Originally titled Super Mario Kart R during development, meaning rendered, but most likely due to the plumber's spiky blue rival having a racing game of his own on the Sega Saturn with a similar title, the name was then changed to Mario Kart 64, like with many other Nintendo 64 titles having 64 in them.
Halfway into production, the game suffered a hard disk crash, leading to the developers losing the models and having to remake 80% of the character models. And then they gave them animations for the select screen. The characters were originally planned to be in 3D, but the Nintendo 64 had trouble rendering 8 3D models at once, which slowed down the game, so they had to resort to using 2D sprites instead. Kamek was originally planned to be in the game, but he was kicked out in favor of Seth Rogen. Don't worry, Kamek, your time to shine will come soon enough. Koopa Troopa was also replaced with Wario, and that's all we got to say about the development. Who needs a planet?
Shut up!
Okay.
So the premise is exactly the same. You race against CPU opponents and try to finish in first place. But this time, it's in 3D! And all of this is thanks to them Silicon graphics! Why did we use a John Cena joke twice in a row? All the modes from Super Mario Kart are here and accounted for. Starting with Grand Prix mode, you go through 4 courses instead of 5, and the lap count has been reduced from 5 to 3. But the goal is still the same. You try your best to do as well as you can in races, and get the gold trophy. You still get ranked out for finishing below 4th place, only this time there's no live system, so you can retry as many times as you please. On one hand, I really like this, since you can just retry as many times as you want until you get first place without being punished. But on the other hand, you can just retry as many times as you want until you get first without being punished. I'm starting to think that maybe the live system did make more sense. Nah, I'm just gonna fail on purpose so I can try again as many times as I want to get a better rank. The controls are much better this time around. The drifting, while still not perfect, is much improved over Super Mario Kart. It's a lot more reliable, and when you drift you'll notice some sparks coming from the bottom of your kart, and when they turn orange, you'll get a little drift boost.
The items make a return, including the banana peels, green shells, and the red shells, which are just as useless as they were before. But this time, we've got some new items to play around with. First off, you can acquire a multi-variation of an already existing item. Those being the triple red shells, triple green shells, triple mushrooms, and a banana bunch.
The Boo item is now available to use during the races, and he is still a little bitch. It doesn't matter how good or bad you are at the game, he can steal your item at any time and there's nothing you can do about it if he does.
It's okay, Silver. It's all gonna be okay.
Relax, Retro, I'm fine. It doesn't ruin the game for me that much.
We've got 3 new items. The fake item box is there to make you go, "Ha! You idiots! You fell for it! You're so stupid!" The super mushroom makes you go extra fast!
Gotta go fast! Gotta go fast! Gotta go faster, 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 faster!
And finally, the most infamous item in Mario Kart, the blue shell.
No, not that one! The blue turtle shell always seeks out the lead car!
Also, the item distribution is pretty much broken, but in a good way. Like, if you're lucky, you can get a star or lightning bolt in 3rd freaking place. What the heck? I mean, I'm not complaining, but damn!
And this time, all the CPU players have access to every item, and have to grab their own item boxes to use an item. No more special items, and the item boxes are much more widespread around the track.
But just like in Super Mario Kart, which we forgot to mention in the last review, the CPUs have a rubber banding effect, meaning that even if you hit your opponent with an item and get far ahead, that doesn't matter here since the AI opponent will still come charging right back at you. We didn't mention this last time because it's more noticeable in this game, probably because it's much easier than the first one. But that's not to say that this game is without its difficulty learning curves. The drifting may be easier, but now we have a new issue to deal with. Bumping. You see, when you fall off an edge, crash into a hill, or get hit by a shell, you bump around. This doesn't really make the game unfair or frustrating to play, at least in my case, but it is something to watch out for. This game is probably the most punishing when it comes to getting hit by an obstacle or a hazard. It does slow you down a bit, but it also adds to the game's charm. It is kind of funny watching a car bump around after making a stupid mistake, especially when you're playing with friends.
Characters are once again divided into different weight classes, with newcomers Donkey Kong and Wario being classed as heavyweights. The rest are about the same as before, and the characters now have voice lines this time, which is pretty charming. The only character who has voice lines in Super Mario Kart was Yoshi. This was before Yoshi's Island, where he started being voiced by Kazumi Totaka. Though the voice lines do add to the game's charm, some make no sense.
Congratulations! I'm Wario. I'm gonna win.
You already won, Wario. You got the gold trophy. You are made of stupids.
For Grand Prix we still got our 50, 100, and 150cc modes. But now we've got the mirror mode, where all the tracks are flipped around. This may not seem like such a big deal, but if you're used to the track layouts, it can be disorienting. And this mode has a huge effect on one certain track we will get to later. Starting with the Mushroom Cup, we got Luigi Raceway, a very basic starter course with curved turns and an underground tunnel to show off the N64's 3D capabilities.
Whoa, check out that TV! Gotta love that frame rate on V-Second!
Overall, not a bad starting course. And when I first played Mario Kart 7 as a kid, which brought this track back, for some reason, I thought this track was called Luigi Races Away.
Yeah.
No! Luigi! The course is back that way! Where are you going?
Moo Moo Farm. A nice cozy track. But watch out for those Monty Moles. Remember the ones from Donut Plains in Super Mario Kart? Well, say hello to the douchebaggy cousins who sent you flying when you touched them. Koopa Troopa Beach. Much more visually appealing than the version from Super Mario Kart. It's weird going off those ramps and not getting a speed boost though. Damn you newer, better games. Not much else to say. Next!
Calamari Desert. Or is it Kalahari Desert? Whatever. A desert course with a train that's always on the move. Whenever the damn train crosses, there's no way of jumping over it, so you have no choice but to let the train pass. Yeah, you have to stop. In a Mario Kart game. Not a bad design choice, mind you. It is actually kind of an interesting gimmick. And it is funny to watch the CPUs crash into the train. Moving on to the Flower Cup, we've got Toad's Turnpike, or what I like to call Toad's Turnspike. Because holy crap, difficulty spike this early in the game much? You're on a highway with cars in every lane that send you flying upon crashing into them. Oh, but then there's the mirror mode version, where not only is the course flipped, but the direction of the traffic is also flipped. Yep, not only does the traffic take up most of the road, but now they are heading straight towards you. This is undoubtedly the most difficult course in the whole game. And this is only the first race of the frickin' Flower Cup!
Next up, we've got Frappy Snowland. There's snow, snowmen to avoid, and ice that isn't very slippery. It's alright. The snowman can be hard to avoid with the controls. Choco Mountain, the sequel to Choco Island. It's a mountain of
chocolate!
And there's some boulders. It still looks like dirt to me. And if you're playing this track on 150cc, the guardrails on the boulder sections are removed. And if you screw up, you fall down to the lower parts of the track and Lakito won't pick you up and you will fall behind.
Mario Raceway is alright. There are some weird looking piranha plants and a giant pipe. Not really much going on here really. It's just a pretty generic track. Don't know why they bothered bringing this back in Wii. Next up we have one of my favorite courses, Wario Stadium! This is essentially a dirt bike track with lots of slopes and a giant jump at the end. And if you're not going fast enough, you will miss the jump and you will have to drive up to the ramp all over again and you'll fall behind. And this course is pretty long, but overall, I really like this one.
Yo, check out those Wario faces! They're everywhere! Man, Nintendo 64 was a time we didn't exist in. All around me are familiar faces, worn out faces, worn out faces.
And it's a shame that this is literally the only track from this entire game that hasn't been brought back in any future Mario Kart games. Yeah, out of this game's entire course selection, this is the only one that has yet to be remade. And yet they felt obliged to bring back Mario Raceway, even though Wario Stadium could have benefited more from Wii's trick system.
Sherbet Land. Penguins! Freaking penguins! They're trying to kill us all! It's the revenge of the penguins!
They will not yield!
So as for the track itself, it's icy. That's all I got. Penguin!
Royal Raceway, a course with a big ramp that takes you to the grounds of Peach's castle. Nice! The only problem is, you can't go inside the castle and play Super Mario 84 instead.
Bowser's castle has a lot of tight turns and some Mario 64 looking swamps. The Nintendo 64 was a time. It's alright, not one of my favorites, but it's alright.
Honestly, while this Bowser's Castle isn't my absolute favorite in the series, I really do like this one. I like the scary atmosphere, the scary music, the deadly lava, and the overall dark and haunting theme of the track. This track scared me a lot as a kid when I played Mario Kart Wii, and nowadays, that's the reason it's one of my favorite tracks in the series. It's a scary track that, I'm not gonna lie, still kinda gives me the creeps as an adult, but that's what makes it a good track, whether it's the original or the Wii remake. Oh, and the fire-breathing Bowser statue was a nice touch.
For the Special Cup, we've got DK's Jungle Parkway. Monkeys can drive now? Oh, wait. It's alright. Big jump, and there's those monkeys behind those tree-textured walls who throw spike balls at you when you go off the course.
Yoshi Valley, the course that says, "F*** you, I ain't keeping up with whoever's in what spot." This course has a lot of different branching pathways, which is kinda why the game just gives up on trying to figure out who's in what place. And if you fall off the course, Lakitu will take as much time to pick you up as he will to pick up his McDonald's order.
Sir, this is a Wendy's. Banshee Boardwalk is a track with a lot more tight turns, but... Move! Get out of the way! Get out of the way! I'm driving to get my mac and cheese, and nobody's gonna stop me! Who needs a planet?
Hey, I thought I told you not to use that joke again!
Who needs...
And finally, we got Rainbow Road. Unlike the one from Super Mario Kart, this one is a complete 180 in terms of difficulty. There are guardrails across the entire track to stop you from falling off, and the only obstacles you'll have to deal with are the chain chomps. And just like the last one, it looks really beautiful. It's a nice and relaxing final track to end the game off. Though I almost missed the difficulty factor of the original iteration of Rainbow Road.
Honestly, I don't think I'd pick this version of Rainbow Road anytime soon. But it is nice, and a good way to look at it. Mario Kart 8 did this better though. And it takes so long to finish just one freaking lap! Move! I'm making cheese and mac, and somebody will take it away from me! And I will always love you! Take on me!
Anyways, looking back at this game's track selection, not a bad selection. Much more variety than Super Mario Kart, which is a big plus. Each track has its own identity and feel. Not all the tracks are great, but for the most part, a pretty decent selection.
Rant mode activate.
This game may not be as bad as Super Mario Kart, but there are so many more issues I have with this game that I hate it so much more. The drifting isn't as bad as original. In fact, it's pretty good. The problem is trying to drift in the first place. I want to turn here using the drift, but then it don't drift. So after that, I don't make the turn fast enough. And this has screwed me over so many times. Turning is alright for the most part, but you can still gravitate towards the opposite direction, making you miss an item or hit a freaking snowman or some crap. The AI is so freaking cheap. No matter how fast you go or how good you are, there will always be two offers on your tail the entire time. And this is on 50cc. When it's 150, they go faster than you. How does Bowser go faster than Toad? And the items don't help you that much when you're in last place. But on the positive, the items aren't that crazy. And I know this was the case in Super Mario Kart, but shut up. You can spin out from just about anything. You spin out when you drift or turn too much. You can spin out when you hit a freaking tree. You can spin out when you hit the other racers. Why? And look at this. He's shrunken. Why do I do that? And why won't those red shirts hit anybody?
Wow.
Sorry, I wasn't expecting to get this mad with the game.
As we said before, every mode from the previous game is here and accounted for. The time trial mode is more or less the same as it was in Super Mario Kart. You race around a course and try to get your best time. However, your time won't save if you fall off the course or hit an obstacle, so there's not much improvement seen in this mode. Versus and Battle mode also make a return, and while they may seem unchanged, there is actually something that spices these modes up in 64. And you wanna know what that is? You can now play with up to 4 players at once, one of the Nintendo 64's biggest selling points. I don't know about you, but 4 players really does make a difference when playing this game. With this game's broken item distribution and wonky physics, it can make for a fun party game to play with your friends. Again, this game is not aged very well, but that pretty much adds to the fun factor of this game. It can be fun to screw over your friends by sending them flying or falling off a stage, and the voice clips are charming.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how mad the game can make me. The multiplayer will make it fun. I still don't like the bombs being on the course, but it's better than that. Boa Bells. You still can't convince me it's a Boa Bell. It's also the only time you'll ever get hit by the blue shell, since for some reason they barely appear in single player mode, and when they do, they're more likely to hit the CPU players than you.
And finally, the battle mode. It's also more chaotic with 4 players in the mix. The arenas are more unique since once again, we're now playing in 3D. Skyscraper. It's a skyscraper. What else? And like Yosh Valley, if you fall, it will take forever for Lakitu to come and pick you up.
Block Fort. It's made of them old Nintendo block toys. It's basically a giant 2-story fort, and you can use the upper levels to your advantage, I guess. Big Donut. If you guessed that this stage is a giant donut, well, you'd be mistaken. This stage is a ring with a huge pool of lava in the middle. I guess you can say, the Ring of Fire!
And finally, there is the double-decker couch. Nah, I'm just kidding, it's called Double Decker. Basically, it's Block Fort, but way bigger. You'll probably just find yourself and your buddies aimlessly chasing each other throughout the stage, due to how huge it is. Actually, scratch that, that's kinda generally how the battle mode plays out in this game. There is no time limit and the stages are pretty large, so you and your friends will probably spend most of your time chasing each other around the stage. Not that the lack of a time limit is a bad thing. Mario Kart Wii. I do find it more fun to have an all-out match to the death that goes on for as long as your opponents can keep going, and with no time limit to shorten the match.
If there are 3 or 4 players playing, the first player will be eliminated with turning into BOOM! You can chase down your enemies and then kaboom!
So anyways, the multiplayer is without a doubt the highlight of this game. It's chaotic and fun to screw over your friends, and I would say that this game's broken item balance, weird physics, and having up to 4 people being able to play at once makes it much more fun to play than Super Mario Kart. However, for some reason, when you play the game with more than 2 players, the music just mutes? What? I know the Nintendo 64 hardware had some limitations, but come on! This makes no sense! GoldenEye can support 4-player split screen and keep the music. What made Nintendo think that muting the music would be a good design choice?
Speaking of which, the music is pretty good. I may prefer Soyo Oka and her way of doing the music. Kenta Nagatan did a pretty good job. Big props to the Rainbow Road team. It really fits with the atmosphere of this iteration of Rainbow Road. The original was fast and exhilarating, but the Nintendo 64 version is a nice and relaxing cruise. Tree jumps!
While I think Soya Oka did a good job for Super Mario Kart, I definitely prefer Kenta Nagatan's work for Mario Kart 64. It's just as, if not, more iconic than Super Mario Kart's music. And again, I love how creepy the music is for Bowser's Castle. It really gives me chills every time. The Raceway theme is catchy and iconic, Moo Moo Farm and Yoshi Valley is cheerful, and Rainbow Road is nice and peaceful.
One of my annoyances with the music is that some tracks are repeated. For example, Yoshi Valley has the same theme as Moo Moo Farms, Shuba Land with Frappy Snowland, and then Luigi's Raceway shares the same theme with Mario Raceway, Royal Raceway, and Wario Stadium. 4 tracks with the same goddamn music! And people thought Year of the Dragon was bad. Overall, the music is alright, but I don't find it too memorable, to be honest.
Personally, I like this music, and it stuck with me for most of my life, but it's probably more just because of them being featured in newer Mario Kart games.
And that was Mario Kart 64. What do we think of it? Well, it's a good Mario Kart, but I think it hates me.
I think this game is a really good upgrade from Super Mario Kart. It's much better to control and it doesn't feel as unfair, but like its predecessor, it has aged a bit. But I feel in this case, it kinda adds to the game's charm and doesn't really hurt the quality of it that much. Okay, maybe it does hurt the quality of the game, but it doesn't ruin it at least. And it's a fun game to go back to and mess around with your friends in the multiplayer mode. I like most of the courses and the music is pretty good.
I can recognize the upgrades, I really can. They improved quite a bit with this one. The fact it's in 3D alone is a big upgrade. Better items, more unique looking tracks, 4 freaking players! But personally, it's the downgrades that get to me, especially with the spinning out all the time. I forgot to record this, but on Rainbow Road, the drifting barely worked because, oh no, I was drifting for too long or some crap. However, multiplayer is good. If you got friends, play this one. Just make sure you've got a CD player with you to listen to some good old I always race to win, keep running to the end, gotta move and stay one step ahead, blah 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 blah.
Well, despite our different perspectives, I think we can agree that this game is at least an upgrade from Super Mario Kart, and you can have a good time playing this with your friends. And that's our thoughts on Mario Kart 64. So thanks for watching the video. If you liked it, give it a like, and we'll see you again in our next reviews. And we'll get to Super Circuit whenever we feel like it.
Now, if you excuse me, I am hungry.
I always race to win, keep running to the end. I gotta move and stay one step ahead. Sit back and watch me go the only way I know, cause nothing's gonna slow me down. I'm running really fast, sit down and watch me pass, doing my best to stay ahead of you. Don't let you catch me, you're gonna pass me.
It's me! Wow!